Yes. Okay. Now, share screen. We're going to Excel. Okay, this is an example of how we want to control and make auditable the facts that people are submitting for our planning assessment committee. I'm going at the top here, GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. If we don't do a good job of admitting these projects and what we want, we aren't going to be able to work with it very well. In particular, as an example, I've chosen polishing wastewater because Palomino Farms project is going to release millions of gallons of purple pipe water in Sparks. The old theory was dilution is the solution to pollution. And so we might have a person come to us and say, oh, that's a great idea. And then when you look at what is purple pipe water, you're looking that it's unregulated in terms of pharmaceuticals and mRNA, pharma. And so we would be putting that on cropland, farmland. And wow. We have some options here. And, you know, like fire retardants, I'm not sure we want to be eating fire retardants because the Mother Earth is going to pick up in her plants these various things we're dumping there. I don't know what these vaccine mRNA experiments are going to do for plants and the plants that we're eating. I just don't know. So we've got one person on one side that's saying, oh, this is a great thing. And another person on the other side saying, hey, hold on a minute, let's really look at this. So what I'm hoping is that the people, when they jump on the site to submit a form, will actually look at what sort of estimated costs are involved in this. So I'm going to switch over to, in order to submit something as a problem, we really need to have them look at a solution. In this case, I'm pulling right directly off of the EPA. And you can't see that, so I'm going to go back to close down, move aside. There we go. I doubled the cost because this was a study released by the EPA when some friends of my friends were still working there and doing ACE jobs. So I doubled the cost just so I'd have a working submission for the budget. Now, the problems related to plans that we're going to be getting are, as I see it, we're only going to get initial costs if we get even that much information. And some of the questions that are coming up now is, and believe me, one of the chats that I'm on, there's 100 posts in 5 or 6 hours on this particular part. Who will be paying our water bills? Will this be a tax consumption? Because income taxes are proposed as dropping away. So at what point will we be taxed for our consumption? Who is going to run the facilities? Who's going to pay the payroll? Will this payroll become a consumption tax concern? How will gray and black water be addressed? Now, gray water is partially processed. It's not the purple water. It's just partially processed waste. Black water is unprocessed, so that's directly out of your toilet. So we have lots of processes that have already been developed by many inventors. And sound, light, and vortex processing, the ones used by Mother Nature, have been developed. Will this technology be available? And how far out is this technology? Is this even a viable processing using ozone? Is this even a viable technology if we've got better technology out there? How many regions will be interested and will benefit from this technology? Who evaluates the long-term modeling and testing? And we already have soil and groundwater that is dropping into our aquifers that has been contaminated. How are we going to address it? So that would all be part of this needs assessment in getting us in a better place, into a more healthy world. Now the submission,
Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right. This affects everybody at every level.
Right.
The water going into the plants, having it contaminated.
Yep.
Thank you for bringing this.
Thank you.
I
Well,
yield.
that's why I wanted to make it a working model and something that possibly we can present to all of Nevada through our drafts folder. That's my intention.
Yeah. Thank you.
Heidi, can you put this into scope or perspective for us? So I'm assuming that this Palomino is one of the wastewater treatments in Washoe County.
No, it's a farm.
It's a farm. And they release how much water?
At this time, it's still experimental, but they are scheduled to receive millions of gallons
And they're taking that from the truckee?
from Glendale, from the Glendale Reno wastewater plant.
Okay. I understand now. Okay.
Yeah, just the
Yeah.
Glendale plant processes 37 million gallons of waste water in a day.
My
Oh.
God.
So you would be siphoning off a bunch of water and a lot of the costs of processing before you put it in the river, and some of the EPA controls will be bypassed.
So the way it works now, the Glendale plant processes the water and supposedly cleanses it, and then they just put it back into the Truckee River, and it ends
Correct.
up in Pyramid Lake, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
So what happens if when you cipher that water out? That seems like a lot of water that will not be reaching its real intended destination.
The theory is, and with our soil, it works quite well, that it will drop into the aquifers and Mother Earth will do all of the processing necessary to clean it.
Okay, but I'm worried about Pyramid Lake because I love Pyramid Lake, and I hope that we keep Pyramid Lake in our thoughts, because it seems like if we're pulling out that much water and it doesn't end up in Pyramid Lake, that could drop the water levels. Or are you
Yep.
saying that the aquifers will level that out?
I don't think
naturally?
the aquifers will level it out. It depends on where you drop it and the flow inside the aquifers.
Okay.
So I, as a person coming to the website, the Nevada Assembly website, would then go to a submission form where I'd have to put in my last and first name. That's mandatory. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Star means mandatory. Email or text contact, phone contact. Ask if you are a member of the assembly with a drop-down box, yes or no. And again, that is mandatory. We need to know if they are someone that's in alignment with our activities. Choose the committee that would have oversight over your project. So historian, public relations, security. There should be more space in there. I need to go in and change that right now. Because, oh, I'm sorry. Security, space, needs assessment. There we go. Health, wellness, family services, education, project management, nature preservation and protection, treasury officer, media. And you have to choose one or more of those. So describe your project intended results. And the only ones I came up with when I was drafting this is improve quality of life, commercial business, something that's self-funding, public service, and an open space to put in other in that Dropbox. Do you have any other ideas on topics that should be there?
Well, I have a question. So Palomino Farms would be the beneficiary of this, right?
That's
Okay.
right.
So they must pay for water rights.
I don't know. They might have to allow their gracious nature to receive the water for free.
Okay, but they wouldn't consume all that all the 37 million gallons, right?
No, not all 37, but 1 million gallons or more a day.
Okay. And they intend to grow crops with it?
It's a farm.
Okay, good. Okay.
So the project intended result, are these adequate topics? Quality of life, commercial, self-funding, public service, and a spot for other. Does that make sense to you?
Well, I think that you need to, in addition to quality of life, I mean, we're enhancing that, we're bringing nature back into balance. So I think you have to put the result, the main result is we're doing something for Mother Earth, aren't we?
Okay, and improve quality of life isn't appropriate. What would be better?
Well, I see nature and life as two different things. So I understand. So I'm assuming the quality of life for the people at the farm and for the people around it and the people who are consuming the aquifer water, that's going to improve the citizens' quality of life because they might be getting cleaner water out of the aquifers. I don't know. But I would think anything that we do to make water cleaner is something that's good for the nature as well. And I think that's really the main goal that we're trying to work toward here through the restoration is bring the nature back into balance.
How about improve quality of life and then also restoration
Yeah.
as drop down box, and you can multi-select drop down box.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Comment box, so people can do a quick summary of their project.
Good.
Like 200 character support summary. Have them affirm they are a resident of a Nevada county and have a selection drop-down box. Are you interested and willing to participate with work groups? Drop-down box, yes, no, other, and that's a mandatory. We need workers. We need people with plans, and willing to support the things that they're putting forward, in my opinion. Do you agree?
Yes, that sounds right to me.
I agree.
Okay, and then a place to attach PDF documents, summary, business plan, drawdown schedule.
So my comment here would be, wouldn't where we're asking them to describe their project, isn't that the executive summary?
Yes, but for routing, for vetting purposes,
Okay.
we need to know a little bit more.
Okay, yeah, just, okay. A pitch.
A pitch, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
can we call it that?
I think we should, if, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Yeah, I like that very much. Thank you. Okay, now,
Let's expand on it. Let's just call it the project pitch. So, because I mean, some people might be real big baseball fans and they might throw a hard ball at you.
Yeah, that's funny. Yes. Project pitch is good.
Marla has a comment.
Marla?
Marla has a comment on my phone.
Oh,
I'm listening to what is going on with the water supply and the fact that we want clean drinking water. And because I am from Wisconsin, I have done research as to why we have cryptosporidium in our water supply. And cryptosporidium, Milwaukee had an outbreak in 1994, sickened 500,000 and killed the elderly. Cryptosporidium never used to be a prevalent protozoa because we all lived with outhouses and the sun will kill cryptosporidium. Now, how serious of a problem is this if I'm going to advance a little bit further and tell you that every single person who has diabetes has cryptosporidium? So we are talking about a protozoa that settles in your joints and gives you the concept of arthritis. So Milwaukee is not a growing city. People are moving west and out of Milwaukee because they're all crippled with arthritis. The reason for this is because the water system of the Fox River and other rivers in Wisconsin drain into Lake Michigan, and Lake Michigan is the source of Milwaukee's water supply. This is my point. You said that you would let nature take its course and filter out, which it can do, okay, a lot of things, including protozoa. But I suggest that you do that filtering system right off the bat, not afterwards. Now, I got into this concept of a leaching field, and you're talking about a farmer doing this. And Arizona is just fantastic with desert and in need of water. Is there any way in which you could pipe that extensive trillion gallons of gas over an extensive period of land and literally let the sun fry it? Because it will get that bacteria, that protozoa, and the reason cryptosporidium lives in Lake
Marla?
Michigan, and yes,
thank you very much. I agree totally with you. And the project that I was trying to bare bones display is based on ozone disinfection, which has actually been used since the 1800s to purify municipal waters. The 1940s adoption in the United States has been used somewhat, but it's not been well supported because of the fluoride and because of the chlorine. But the purpose of this meeting is to actually set up our own landing page for project submissions. Okay?
all right.
So I'd like to stay on topic. I support you completely. I agree with you completely, but we have another 24 minutes to come to agreement as to what goes on our landing page and what the limitations are for our particular assembly, okay?
All right.
Thank you very much for piping up. I appreciate that. Okay. Oops. Let's try again. Share screen and go back to Excel. Share. Okay, so we have agreed so far on the immediate programming Dawn's going to have to do. Now, my concerns and Marla's concerns are we have not defined what is local, what is regional, what is state, what is national, what is global, and the overlap of responsibility. In this case, groundwater, aquifers, and I should add in there lakes and oceans. Because many of these things are ending up in the ocean. There's been a lot written about the difficulties in the Gulf of Mexico and in the Baja Peninsula area and the ocean where whales are raising their young. It's an endemic problem. So our forum and our assembly at this time would be limiting it to this county, state, and possibly region if Scott comes up with a plan where we have regional outreach groups. Now, identifying these people that can help us and that are willing to work with us and submit their ideas and their plans and give us new opportunities. I don't know how to do it. I'm not an advertising person, but media flyers, public notices in newspapers, professional affiliations. How do we accomplish this outreach? Where do we start? And do we have any volunteers? And will we be doing travel reimbursements and overnight stay reimbursements for volunteers? And if so, how do we fund this until we get our ratification and our actual funding? I don't have answers to any of that. That's the limitations of the planning right now. And Nevada is the 7th most extensive state with 19th least populous and the 9th least densely populated, with 3/4 of the people in Nevada living in Clark County. So representation may be our biggest opportunity in moving forward and in our plan assessments. All right. Now, I wanted to set up a checklist for when these submissions actually come into the assembly. The person receiving notice that there is a submission would have some responsible and auditable vetting that needs to be done. And I want to change this one. We want to add in there restoration. Now, what else? Local, regional, state, national, because remember the heavy lifting that Tom described last night at national. We need to have a way to to delegate or to find out, is this already being handled? Who's doing it? And then the committees where the immediate plan should go. And support for forwarding this submission, and the person responsible needs to sign and date this so that we have something auditable. All right, now I already showed you what was in that EPA ozone, and I doubled the dollar amounts for Glendale because that is an old EPA suggestion for budgeting. And the annual maintenance issues, which I really need help on, being able in a project assessment to put these limitations, and whether that even belongs on admission or whether that goes into planning. I'd really like your suggestion. Are you still there? Okay, I'm switching off of
Yeah, we're here.
screen share. And I will stop the recording.